Hello good people in YouTube and Azur Line Commanders, Lucky Mies205 over here, and today we are gonna review a flagship of Northern Parliament, Project 23 battleship Sovetsky Soyuz. Now the Sovetsky Soyuz we see right here is actually a final version from the many versions we have seen before. She was officially released. Now, I don't know, should I go way deeper how she looked before what she looks today, excuse me. I'm still recovering from the flu. Now, that being said, what is the origin of battleship Sovetsky Soyuz in Azur Lane? Well, it goes way back in 1937. The Soviet... I'm gonna read this quote from the World of Warships, what it describes the Sovetsky Soyuz battleship. And it says as follows. In the spring of 1937, the Soviet authorities learned about the construction of a new German and Japanese ships that seemed more powerful than their A-class battleship project. The shipbuilding bureau suggested improving the displacement and speed of Project 23 up to 55,000 tons and 29.5 knots, respectively. The project was completed in March 1938, and the Defense Committee ordered the construction of 4 more ships. Sovetsky Soyuz was laid down at the Baltic Works on July 15, 1938. When the war broke out, the orders for producing parts in foreign countries were cancelled. The ship, which was 21% complete, wasn't finished due to the blockade of Leningrad. And that is simplified history of the Sovetsky Soyuz battleship, and that is also Project 23. Now, in World of Warships, Sovetsky Soyuz is designed to be front brawler. Like, you're supposed to take some couple of hits head on, but as a standard army tactical way, if you sow any of your side, like this battleship, you tend to explode rather spectacularly if you sowed your weak spots. So, she is a very interesting ship in World of Warships. I have tested it myself, and because I like to play German ships way more compared to the Soviet Navy, it's a little bit challenging to put full potential to the battleship Sovetsky Soyuz. But in the Azur Lane, oh hold on, where's my cursor? Now, the Sovetsky Soyuz in Azur Lane, well, she actually went very interesting upgrade, because according to lore, her rigging was not completed, so it was having some problems to run smoothly, but thanks to the mysterious thing in the South Pole, that unknown energy completed Sovetsky Soyuz rigging, which then gave us the Sovetsky Soyuz from the Northern Parliament we know today. And this is her final design. As you can see, you can see the flag and the icebergs and what is that, ski in English? And the main batteries 406mm guns, pack-in heavy punch, and you can see 150mm guns right over there, and some parts of her ship's superstructure. But I have to actually give some credit to the artist who actually given not just regular ship rigging designs we know so much, but this is way different. It's a mix of iron and ice. Steel and ice, which is rather a very interesting combination. It's not bad design, it's a really decent one. I like the design. And she gets 2 skins. And the third one is very spicy. I almost forgot that. No, anyway. Now the stats. As you can see, in my account, she is not 100% complete to 155, so we have to read some stats in the wiki. If you fully complete Sovetsky Soyuz in normal stat-wise, like no old thing at all, in 125 her HP reaches 10,218, and that is an immense amount of HP for a battleship. As for her firepower, it's not joke at all. It too also packs a punch. 458. Her anti-air is Northern Parliament standard. 257. Her reload is not bad either. 166. Her evasion on a battleship standard is 37. Thanks to her heavy armor, she can actually survive some heavy attacks from normal ammo and HE. But that doesn't stop her to catch on fire. The only thing that actually damage her is either critical torpedo damage or really impressive AP damage. She's a slow side battleship, 28 speed, but her accuracy is not bad either, that is 63. Her luck is standard 50, excuse me. Not bad either. And because she is ultra rare battleship, her oil cost is 17, which is she is very expensive ship to run around. Now, as for her gears, before we go to the skills, excuse me. Her main gun efficiency is 150%, and thanks to her main event, the Snow Realm Peregrination, she gets this AP version of triple 406mm Mark I main gun mount. It's not bad, I have used it a lot on her, but there can be better choices for this, but I'm gonna keep it this for historical reference sake. As for a secondary, there are better ones, but I currently have twin 152mm B38 Mark 17 main gun mount, which has 200% efficiency, which is very standard across other battleships. Well, there are other battleships that has way lower efficiency. But the anti-air in the Sovetsky Soyuz is not bad, 120% efficiency. She doesn't have Alchemy module yet, but I doubt she won't get any in the future. She is a very good battleship this far. And you will soon see in the skills. Sublimation to sunder all storms. This is gonna be a long one to read. When this ship finishes loading her main gun, instantly, well 100%, chance to fire level 10 special barrage. Inflicts the following effects for 6 seconds to the enemies hit by this barrage. 1. Decreases speed by 40%. 2. increases damage taken by 8%. And 3. When Sovetsky Soyuz attacks the enemy, increases her crit rate by 10%. This is very impressive. It actually increases her offensive skills. Although... Following effects. So all of these 3 instantly, so that is brutal. Now for her supporting skill. Irradiance. The extol solidarity's glory. When the battle starts, increases your Northern Parliament ships, firepower, torpedo and aviation by 15%. Not bad. Works like a true flagship. While this ship is afloat and there are 2 carriers or light carriers in your main fleet, increases your main fleet's accuracy by 10% and your carriers and light carriers damage dealt by 10% if there are 2 or more battleship, battlecruisers or aviation battleships in your main fleet, something like Fuso or Kearsarge or... well, you get the point. The main fleet increases this ship's critical rate, reload and damage dealt by 10%. And this alone also is very nasty. Improves Sovetsky Soyuz capabilities. And now defensive. I don't know, is this pronounced adamantine? The walls of forts impregnable. Weirdly pronounced, I confess. When there are other Northern Parliament ships in your fleet, decreases your Northern Parliament ships burn damage taken by 15%. This is some kind of trend across other Northern Parliament ships because they take less fire damage, probably because they are ice continent or very snowy country. Well, faction, excuse me. Very snowy faction and ice. So perhaps that's also one buff from there. They take less damage from fire. During a sortie, when another fleet is battling and this ship is afloat, 18 seconds after that fleet battle starts, fires level 10 special supporting barrage. Decreases the crit rate of torpedoes hitting the ship by 20% and decreases their damage by 10%. So overall, this is a supporting skill. A defensive skill, excuse me, defense skill. And yes, it's really good against those mob fleets that spam HE and your fleet catches on fire. This is really helpful, but it only limits to the Northern Parliament. And she is supporting other fleet, which is also very nice. And this is for her own. Something like you want to use on exercise, because there are torpedo meta fleets in Vanguards, and this alone really is very helpful against them. And if you want to add the perhaps forgotten but glorious anti-torpedo bulge on PvP, decreases damage taken from torpedoes by 33%. I don't know why it says effect does not stack, probably because the auxiliaries, between auxiliaries. But if you add that torpedo bolts with this one, she is very tanky against torpedoes. I will admit that. Now then, as you have seen my main build for now this time, I will use type 91 AP shell, and we see armor plating. When equipped by a ship with heavy armor, decreases its damage taken by from AP ammo by 4% and decreases its damage taken from HE and normal ammo by 2%. So she is somewhat built, perhaps to the exercises, but also using in the main campaign or in Operation Siren or in other future events or war archives. And of course monthly challenges. Anyway, for the fleet I'm gonna use Sovetsky Soyuz is very interesting. I'm gonna use Gangut meta, Gangut, Moskva, heavy cruiser Moskva, Bogatyr perhaps, and Krasny Kavkaz. And the oil cost is astonishingly 81. This is very expensive fleet. But I'm gonna use this type of fleet to actually give my final thoughts about Northern Sovetsky Soyuz. And also a little bit notification, the future video related to the heavy cruiser Moskva as well, and Gangut meta itself, because why not? And now onwards to my final opinions about Sovetsky Soyuz battleship. Alright, commanders of the Azur lane and YouTubers, Lucky Mies 205 voice over here and now. Sovetsky Soyuz Project 23 battleship. Now there are a couple of things I forgot to mention, like it's not just what I recall about the Project 23 related to only Germans and Japanese. Well, Germans had the Bismarck class and the Japanese had the Yamato class, and the Soviet Union was like, we need to build something better than theirs. And so Sovetsky Soyuz class battleships were designed. And after that, I am, in my personal opinion, although the Soviet Union was main core of their naval plans against the Japanese fleet and the German fleet, but there is slight part in my memory telling that she was also designed to fight against also Iowa class battleships, and you are supposed to cooperate with the US and Great Britain against the German Navy. So just thinking about this information really makes me wonder, what is wrong with the dictatorships? Like, they tend to make so many mistakes. Well, of course, war was the reason why Sovetsky Soyuz was never completed, sure. But if she was completed, she would have been really interesting battleship to sail the seven seas. But then again, thinking about my wider scope, and I mean very big scope, if the battleship ever existed, it's really lucky that it wasn't really completed. If you're in the Gulf of Finland, let's just say, if that type of battleship sails around in the Gulf of Finland, you know the in the Second World War, Finnish Navy would have been a little bit problematic position fighting against a battleship like that. But let's put that history aside. I just wanted to point out that thing. I really wanted to point out about this insane project the Soviet Union tried to make. Anyway, rambling aside, and now let's go back to the game, shall we? So the Sovetsky Soyuz in Azur Lane, I have to admit, it's not bad battleship. It's a very good one. And if Azur Lane actually did the trick, like we have the old Sovetsky Soyuz released, somewhere on the way, instead of getting straight to the ultra rare battleship, it would have been interesting development just to have the old version and this upgraded version, like what we have with the Bismarck. But Bismarck was released in way back in 2018 and 90s and 20s. And Bismarck is really good battle flagship in the Ironblood side. But we have Bismarck 2, which is also giving some nice buff to the Ironblood. But Sovetsky Soyuz, well, yes, personal opinion. The C is good, firepower increasing, torpedoes and aviation 15%, yes. And there's also some buffs like increase your main fleet's accuracy 10% to the if there is 2 carriers in your main fleet alongside Sovetsky Soyuz. There are some really nice. Why I'm thinking of perks? I don't think that's the correct word here. But if there's only battleships, they only increases Soyuz's critical rate, reload and damage dealt by 10%. So it's the which way you want to use her. Like you have 2 roles. Do you want to have Sovetsky Soyuz and 2 carriers, or do you want to have Sovetsky Soyuz alongside 2 battleships or battle cruisers, however you want to call them? So in my case, I did go with the Gangut and Gangut meta. But if I read these other adamantine, the walls of forts impregnable, the walls of forts impregnable, this adamantine skill. If I reread this again, when there are other Northern Parliament ships in your fleet, decrease your Northern Parliament ships burn damage taken by 50% during a sortie when another fleet is in battle. And this, well, let's forget about that part. Okay, this was wrong skill, excuse me. Irradiance, the extol solidarity's glory. That's what I had to read. The support skill. When the battle starts, increases your Northern Parliament ships firepower, torpedo and aviation 50%. So that's a good get-go. All Northern Parliament ships. While this ship is afloat and there are 2 carriers in your main fleet, increase your main fleet's accuracy by 10% and your carriers and light carriers damage dealt by 10%. If there are 2 or more battleships, battle cruisers or aviation battleships in your main fleet, increase these ships' crit rate, reload and damage dealt by 10%. See buffs of the Northern Parliament's members. But if you have like 2 battleships like I have, it seems to indicate that it's not faction bounded or faction limited. So like you can have other faction ships here alongside with Sovetsky Soyuz, because this skill, this irradiance, buffs Sovetsky Soyuz only if you have battleships only in the main fleet. Now, so Gangut meta alongside with Gangut, it's not bad combination because Gangut also did something like when these ship fires your main guns, increase your Northern Parliament ship's firepower, torpedo, aviation, AA, and reload by 18% for 12 seconds. Long live the revolution, so yes, I say Gangut alongside with Sovetsky Soyuz like this is a really good combination, although Gangut is an old ship, a dreadnought, while Sovetsky Soyuz is a modern battleship. So yeah, see, I say these two are working together really well. But then again, then Gangut meta doesn't give much at all, it seems, because increases this ship's firepower reload by 18%. So okay, so Gangut meta is already buffing herself at the get-go, so that's not a problem. Kinda like compensates this combination. But then we have alongside this Moskva, newest heavy cruiser to the Northern Parliament, and the what can I read quickly over here? Well, I'm gonna focus that in the future videos. I don't know what Bogather gives, but thanks to Sovetsky Soyuz, she is buffing all these newest members to the Northern Parliament, making them more efficient, and Gangut meta alongside her. I say this is somewhat good fleet, although in this video background they are 5 levels or 6 levels below. They may struggle first, but I'm very confident they can survive really well and do some really decent damage. And because Moskva is some reason kind of cracked, OP ship, just having healer really helps a lot with this fleet, but I decided to go with the fleet like this. So now that I have analyzed and rambled too much, she's a good ship. I have to confess, she's a really good ship. Although she's an expensive ship, but she's a good one. I will give her that. And the only sad truth I have to also say that although she is a good ship, how often are you going to use her? Northern Parliament has some peculiarly interesting ship, but how often have you used these ships? Somewhere like main campaign that really requires stupidly high anti-air defenses, and the exercises that has torpedo or some other type of meta fleets. But I think she could be very useful in Operation Siren. She can work main campaign some degree, as far as she stays away. Well, I'm not sure. She can work perhaps in a map 15. She could work there. It just requires really heavy anti-air defenses. And thanks to her firepower she gives, will probably reducing damage against fire. She could be tanky ship, useful ship, I believe. But because I am Iron Blood main, although I really like ship girls, we get to the Azur lane. Northern Parliament really haven't reached my heart. Comparison to the Iron Blood that instantly stole my heart, thanks to the Sorcerer of Iron and Blood. So hard to say. If you like Northern Parliament ships, that's good. If they can pack a punch if you actually build fleet correctly. And she can actually give a lot to the fleet. That's all I can actually think about. She's a good ship in only good hands and really smart head who knows how to build a proper Northern Parliament fleet compared to myself. But I don't think I'm gonna use her that often, unfortunately. Although she's a good ship. But if you like vodka characters, this is for you. And yeah, I'm afraid that's all I can actually think about Sovetsky Soyuz and what is my thoughts about this ship. And perhaps the faction overall, unfortunately. this became a lot more rambling than I originally planned. I was planning to make this simple, but I'm just one yapper. Now then, I guess we have to end this video eventually. And that is now for the moment. Thank you so much for watching. My name is LuckyMiez205. Hit the like button and also subscribe if you want to see more of this type of content. I wish you all take care of yourself and see you next time. Take care.